Thank you very much, Honorable Minister. May I acknowledge your presence here this early afternoon. May I also acknowledge the presence of our guests and our hosts in Uganda and the student community and of course the academics who are present here and the student politicians who I now see call themselves their excellencies. I was a student leader, we never called ourselves excellencies. Times have changed. There is not much to say. You are young Africans at a very interesting time in the history of Africa. It is at a time when Africa and the world are talking about the fourth industrial revolution and the fifth industrial revolution. We are talking about internet and the Internet of Things. We are talking about artificial intelligence. We are talking about those things because the continent of Africa can only grow if our young men and women take charge. And taking charge means that you are in a position to compete with the world. You are here in Makerere, Uganda. You are not competing with Ugandans. You are competing with Koreans. You are competing with Japanese. You are competing with Chinese. You are competing with the world. The question is, are you prepared? And if you are not prepared, then you will be subdued. And when you are subdued, you will be enslaved. And when you are enslaved, you will be humiliated. The choice is yours. What is brought to you today is to help you very early on to identify what you are best at. Many students in this generation and the generation that we belong to pursued career paths because your father or mother wanted to be doctors and they could not be doctors, so they fulfilled the ambition through you. They wanted to be engineers or accountants or lawyers. The time is now for you to wake up and make Africa proud. Today, my challenge to you as young Africans is to embark on a journey of self-discovery, because it is that self-discovery that will make you realize who you are. And when you know who you are, then you can be a good agent for change, for your society, for your country, and for the continent. The choice is yours. I'll tell you a small story, then I sit down. How many of you here have heard of a great African called James Emmons Kwejiragri? This is a university, so I expect you to know James Emmons Kwejiragri. How many have heard of him? That is an indictment of the education that you are going through. James Emmons Kwejiragri, normally referred to as Agri of Africa, was the first African head of a famous school in Ghana called Achimota. How many of you have heard Achimota College? How many of you have heard of Kwame Nkrumah? Kwame Nkrumah went to Achimota College and one of his teachers was James Emmons Kwejiragri. I'm telling you to be inquisitive. Africa will not grow if our young men and women are ignorant. This is my message. Ignorance is a paralyzing agent. Today, when I drive through the streets of Kampala, I see Chinese making roads. Don't we have Ugandan engineers? Why are they making roads? If we have Ugandan engineers, your own president, whom I respect, President Yoweri Kaguta Museveni, was in Mbale yesterday, launching 15 companies. If you look at the photographs in the Uganda Leave Vision, and the monitor, the president is accompanied by Chinese. Africans are clapping. That tells you there is something wrong. And the president spoke yesterday about burning second-hand clothing, and he was right. Up till now, we've been buying clothes that are discarded by other civilizations. What others have rejected, we embrace. Your generation must not be in that space. That is why we are talking about talent here today. And it's a choice you must make. Now to my story, then I sit down. James Emmons Kwejiragri, whom you will find out about, used to tell a story, and the story is of a poultry farmer. And the story is of the chicken reared by this poultry farmer straying into the bushes. And when they come back, among the chicks there is a chick of an eagle. And they are reared over time. The eagle being fed with chicken feed like all the other chicks. One day, Emmons Kwejiragri says, a naturalist comes and sees the eagle and says, but this is an eagle. And the farmer says, I know it is an eagle, but we have fed it on chicken feed for too long. It is no longer an eagle. And the naturalist said, no. When you are an eagle, whether you are fed on chicken feed, you never change your character. He tries to make the eagle fly, and it cannot fly. It refuses to fly. And the poultry farmer tells him, I told you it was once an eagle. It has been fed on chicken feed for too long. It lost its eaglehood. It is now chicken. He comes the following day in the morning and he places it in the palm of his hand and urges it to go as it faces the sun, and it flies away. And the naturalist looks at the poultry farmer and tells him, I told you. Once you are an eagle, no matter how long you've been fed on chicken feed, you never lose your eaglehood. You could be the chicken that have been fed on the eagle that have been fed on chicken feed for too long, but you are still eagles. So today, this talent that we are talking about is meant to make you realize that you are eagles. And when you are an eagle, you will soar in the skies. And when you are chicken, you will be eaten. So the choice is yours, you young Africans. Are you going to discover your talent that you may soar like the eagle? Or you are going to be chicken? Choose you now what you want. As for me, I'm urging you. If Africa is to be great, it is you. It is you. There was a young girl who was here, who was the program director. This young girl, come. She's only 21. I'm not a Jewish prophet and I'm not related to one. But if she continues on this path, watch her.
Watch me.
Watch her. Because she has made a decision and she is confident. Confidence is half the journey. Fortune favors the vigilant. You can't win the lottery if you didn't buy the lottery ticket. She has. Follow her path. Talent is here. Take time. Find out whether you are a round pole in a square hole or vice versa. Find out what you are good at. Find out what you can be best at. Because history has taught us that those who believe in themselves change the world. Hence the Kiswahili saying, jishinde, ushinde. Conquer yourself that you may conquer. I wish you the very best in the knowledge that you will not let us down. God bless you.